Hello and welcome to another lesson for the East Kilbride congregation. During lockdown, although the good news is we should be able to begin worship next week, so this may be the last one I have to record. This lesson is for Sunday, the 21st of March, 2021. There was more information about some tentative dates for restrictions being eased over the coming weeks. Of course, the vaccines are continuing to roll out. Arlene and I received our first dose this past Monday. I had no reaction to it really. A little tenderness in the arm, and that was about it. Arlene had a little bit of flu-like symptoms for a day or so. But other than that, we're fine, and we're looking forward to getting the second one. Of course, next Sunday, which will be the 28th of March, we should be able to worship again. Worship, of course, resuming from the 26th so that other religious groups who don't meet on Sunday but meet earlier can do that as well, as particularly for the Jews. But that's coming up. So 28th of March, we'll be back in our building. We're looking forward to that. This is also going to be just a great day for us. Other dates that were released this week, the 5th of April. That's the day that the stay-at-home restrictions should be lifted, but we'll still be in Tier 4, and we're still to stay within our council area. Doesn't help me going up to seeing Scott and Rochelle yet, but nevertheless, definitely not Bethany and Demetrius, but definitely at least we can move around a bit. And then that will stay in place for 3 weeks. Each of these is for 3 weeks. The next one after that will be the 28th of April, and that's when travel restrictions are going to be lifted, and all of mainland Scotland should go into Tier 3. So we're hoping that everything continues to progress towards that over the next month. Travel restrictions initially may just be within Scotland. It does mean you can leave your council area, but travel restrictions to England should be lifted quite soon after that is the idea. 3 weeks after that takes us to the 17th of May, and that's when indoor visiting between two families will once again be allowed. And hopefully we'll all be going into Tier 2. This is somewhat dependent upon the vaccine rolling out and that continuing to suppress this virus. And the idea is 3 weeks after that, 7th of June, providing everything goes well, we will be into Tier 1. And then on the 28th of June, Tier 0, which we do have in Scotland, which is very much closer to normality. And this is, of course, all dependent upon the virus continuing to be suppressed and the vaccine continuing to roll out. So continue doing those things that we are doing, which is face masks, face coverings. Those are going to continue for a while, even if we've had the vaccine. Social distancing, and right now, stay-at-home restrictions. But we can see that there is definitely a roadmap for us getting out of this, and we look forward to getting back to a degree of normality in the summer. We're hoping that all that helps. Of course, on Sunday, we're going to be able to merge with the West Mains congregation, become one congregation in East Kilbride. So Merger Sunday will be the 28th of March. We're looking forward to that. Alec and I got together online last week and discussed some of the things that need to be put into place. And then we're going to meet up this week at the building to be able to get everything set out, socially distanced, so that we can meet together on Sunday. So we are very much looking forward to doing that. Of course, all the restrictions I mentioned in our last lesson apply. Face coverings are required. Don't come if you feel ill. The 2 meter distancing will be necessary. We're not going to be able to sing yet, but we will continue singing in British Sign Language. So all that's going to go on as we have been doing. So looking forward to that. We began in our last lesson to discuss faith. We looked at Rahab and saw that she had faith, but it wasn't a faith alone, a faith only. She also needed to do something. See, it's not enough just to believe in God. It wasn't enough for her just to believe in God and believe that she would be spared. She had to show her faith by hiding the spies and putting the cord in the window. Now, it's not that those things earned her anything, but those things showed that she did have faith. And the point we saw at the end of chapter 2 of James is that for faith to be alive, it has to be accompanied by works. It has to be accompanied by what we do. This translates into how we view life as well, which is what our text today somewhat centers on. It isn't enough to say, I believe you'll get what you need. We need to do something to help when we can. So let's get into the text. Verse 14. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but does not have works? Can this faith save him? That's a good question, isn't it? Because as we know in life, we can claim just about anything we want to claim. So it's not just enough to claim it, James writes. You know, have we ever met anybody like this? Even in the religious world. I have faith. I believe. But then basically they say to us, don't ask me to do anything. You know, how many people think that because they believe in God, they are ready for eternity? I just need to believe. That's all I need to do. I don't need to attend worship. I believe in God. I can live any way I want to because I believe in God. Baptism, forget that. I believe in God. Faith only. And that we hear a lot of that, don't we? We hear a lot of that. I have faith. I believe in God. That should be enough. As I mentioned, I can claim just about anything I want to, can't I? I can claim to be the President of the United States. I can claim to be Prime Minister of the UK or First Minister of Scotland. I can claim anything else I want to claim. But, you know, claims mean absolutely nothing. As we often say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The proof of our faith is in what that faith causes us to do. He goes ahead in the next verse to give us a practical example. He says, if a brother or sister is poorly clothed, lacks daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm, eat well, but you don't give them what the body needs, what good is it? Yes, if we see somebody who needs food and clothing, what is it that we do? Do we just tell them, be warm, have a good meal? And yet, how are they going to do that? We don't give them anything. That would be pretty pointless, wouldn't it? That wouldn't help them at all. As James puts it here, what good is it? What good is it to wish them well? How often do we do this when we're asked to help someone? We may see a need, and what's our response? I'm praying for you. No, I'm not saying that prayer is not important. Prayer is very important, but it's got to be more than just praying about it, doesn't it? That prayer should prompt us to do what we can do. You see, giving somebody a thumbs up, telling them we're praying for them, praying that they'll get what they really need, doesn't really help. It doesn't show any faith on our part at all. It is totally worthless. So that's the problem, isn't it? And that's the problem. That's not really faith. Notice verse 17. So also faith, if it does not have works, is dead, being by itself. But someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without works, and I'll show you faith by my works. See, faith, to be faith, has to cause us to do something. See, if somebody needs food, give them food. Because otherwise, we're not showing any faith in what we're saying to them, are we? And by the way, it's not a matter of faith or works. That's not the way it works. No pun intended. It is if we have faith, it's going to cause us to do something. You know, how can we show our faith if we aren't doing anything? It's what we do that shows that we have faith or shows that we don't have faith. What's James telling us here? James is telling Christians everywhere, faith by itself, just saying you believe by itself, isn't enough. In fact, what does he say there? Faith by itself is dead. It's dead. It doesn't tell us anything. In fact, it's dead. It's not doing anything. It's doing that shows that we're alive. It's doing that shows that our faith is alive. You see, faith must have works to be alive. Otherwise, it's not doing anything. Faith is dead if it doesn't have works because it's by itself. And he finishes this section with an interesting illustration. Notice verse 19. You believe that God is one. Well and good. Even the demons believe that and tremble with fear. Yeah, so true, isn't it? Just believing in God isn't enough. If you want to be saved by faith alone, James says we are the same as the demons. Why is that? Well, see, the demons believe in God, but that sure doesn't save them. Why doesn't that belief save them? Well, it's because they're not doing anything. They believe in God and they tremble with fear, but they don't do anything about serving God. And if believing in God, faith alone, doesn't save them, how can it save us? That's one thing we need to think about. It's not a matter of just having faith. Now, I'm not saying we don't need to believe in God. Of course we need to believe in God. But our belief in God, our faith in God, means that we're going to change. It's going to spark a change in our lives, which is going to change what we do. We're going to have to do if we're going to be saved. We've got to change our thinking, and that's what we're emphasizing throughout this series. We must change our thinking, the way we think. And it means we've got to change the way we're acting as well. We need to think different. We need to do different. But it also means we need to do, because we cannot do different if we're doing nothing whatsoever. Not just faith alone, not just believing in God alone. It's got to spark action. It's got to get us to do something. So what's the lesson in all this for us? This is telling us that our faith is more than saying that we believe in God. Much more than that. Having faith means we're going to do something. And as we've just said, it means we're going to think different. We've got to think differently from those around us. But see, if we're going to think differently, and that's going to be seen in our lives, it means we're going to have to live different. Now, I'm not convinced that a person who sees a Christian is going to know by the way he acts that he's a Christian. because sometimes people don't know what Christians are, and their concept of being a Christian is so alien to what we find in Scripture. But they should see that there's something different about us, that we live different lives. Having faith means, from the illustration that James used here in the text, it means that we're going to help others. If we see that there's a need that needs met and we can meet it, we're going to meet that need. It means that we're going to put our faith into action. Not just say we believe in God, not just say we have faith, not just say that faith saves us, but we've got to put that into action. It's got to be seen in our lives in a number of ways. How's that going to be seen? Well, it's going to be seen because we give practical help to others, isn't it? It's going to be seen in what we do. It's not just a matter of coming to worship on Sunday and that's what we do. Yes, that's important, but that's not all it is. What we do on Sunday is just the impetus for what we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's what gets us going to live our lives through the rest of the week. It means that we're going to live lives of serving other people, because that's the way our faith in God is seen in our lives. We learn that serving God means serving people. That's what faith's all about. It also means that we're not going to just say, my faith's going to save me. We realize we've got to be obedient, don't we? Our faith is going to prompt us to change our lives, prompt us to speak up for God, speak up for Jesus where we have that opportunity. And it means that we're going to be immersed into Christ. That we're going to, because that's what Jesus said we need to do to have our sins forgiven. That is so very, very important. That's what puts us into that saved relationship with Jesus. And yeah, that means we've got to think different. Think different than most of those in the religious world. But that means that's not the end of what we do as a Christian. That's the beginning. That's when we begin living a life serving Jesus. I found a hymn that I thought expresses all this fairly well. Written by Isaac Watts back in 1707. I did not know this hymn before. I found this as I was researching yesterday. So let our lips and lives express. You can see the directions going already, can't you? Isaac Watts, by the way, we sing a lot of hymns by Isaac Watts. He was born in Southampton, July 17th, 1674, son of a schoolmaster. And from what I read, he was an exceptional child. He began the study of Latin when he was just 4 years old. He was writing what is termed respectable verses by the age of 7. At the age of 16, he went to London to study in the academy of Thomas Rowe, who was an independent minister. In 1698, he became assistant minister of the Independent Church on Bury Street in London. And in 1702, he began preaching full-time. The number of Watts' publications is very large. He wrote sermons which were published, his treatises which were published, poems, and of course, hymns. His first collected work, by the way, published in 1720, when he would have been 26 years old. It's as a writer of psalms and hymns that he is known throughout the world. Some of his hymns were written to be sung after his sermons. We've been using various hymns after lessons lately because I think that helps sum things up. And I'm planning once we get back into being able to sing, that we will sing a hymn that goes with whatever lesson I'm giving at the end of our lessons. I think that's a good practice to have. Some just give expression to the meanings of a text that he's been preaching. He published more than 800 hymns during his lifetime. He died November 25th, 1748, was buried at Bunhill Fields. is a monumental statue that's been erected in Southampton, where he was born. It's also a monument to his memory in the South Choir of Westminster Abbey. There's a publication, Memorials of Westminster Abbey, and it says this: "Happy will be that reader whose mind is disposed by his verses or his prose to imitate him in all but his nonconformity, to copy his benevolence to men and his reverence to God." I'm not sure we shouldn't also copy his nonconformity. But anyway, that's by the by. But we definitely need to copy his benevolence to men and his reverence to God. Here's how this particular hymn goes. "So let our lips and lives express the holy gospel we profess. So let our walks in virtue shine to prove the doctrine all divine. Thus shall we best proclaim abroad the honor of our Savior God, when the salvation reigns within and grace subdues the power of sin. Our flesh and sense must be denied, passion and envy, lust and pride, while justice, temperance, truth, and love our inward piety approve. Religion bears our spirits up, while we expect that blessed hope, the bright appearance of the Lord, and faith stands leaning on his word. That sacred stream, thy holy word, that all our raging fear controls, sweet peace thy promises afford, and give new strength to fainting souls." As I mentioned at the beginning, this will probably be the last of the lessons that I pre-record, unless there's an exceptional circumstance at some point. And so we're looking forward to getting back into worshiping with our fellow Christians. With the merger taking place at East Kilbride, I will not be preaching every week. And to be honest, I'm rather looking forward to being able to spend more time developing lessons for the British Bible School. But nevertheless, I will be taking my turn, and so there won't be as many lessons going on to our YouTube channel as has been of late. But I will be speaking next week, the first week of our merger. We're going to be back at the beginning of James chapter 2, and then we'll continue looking at lessons from James throughout the remainder of this year, Lord willing. We trust that you'll stay safe, get the vaccine when it comes, and we look forward to seeing people in person in the very near future.